Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, a very, very warm welcome to you all here for this very important session. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Now, over the last couple of days, the message here at the World Future Energy Summit has been, without a doubt, loud and clear. Renewable energy is here to stay, and it is definitely part of the energy mix. It's part of that mix here in the Emirate, in the region, and indeed in the world. And it's not just good for the environment, it actually helps to drive efficiency, and it makes good business sense. While the great and the good of the globe are gathering in Davos, as we gather here in Abu Dhabi, they're there to discuss the new world context. And we are here in the UAE actually doing something. We're building a cleaner economy future. In this opening panel, Sustainability and Expanding the Nation's Energy Legacy, we're going to continue to explore this theme. And we're going to actually ask some of the key players here in the Emirates just what they are doing to drive a cleaner, more sustainable energy future. I'd like to welcome a special guest with us here this morning. We're very honored to have the Minister of State, His Excellency, Dr. Sultan Al Jaber. He's taken the time to join us here. Of course, he also is the chairman of Masdar, the CEO of Energy Mubadala. This is his show, and great credit to him having started this many, many years ago when people probably looked and said, won't work, can't work, Abu Dhabi, what are you doing? And indeed, a tremendous credit to you and all of the great work that all of your team have done, and again, to the support, I think, from the government. We see here in the United Arab Emirates that the narrative has now moved from talking about fossil fuel, talking about oil, talking about gas, to a much more holistic concept, whereby now His Excellency Suhail Al-Mazroui, the Energy Minister, when we hear him talk about energy. We hear him talk about the need for the diversification of energy, and we have seen, even here at this event, his tremendous support to put all his effort behind the whole push for all types of energy, with particular emphasis in renewable energy. So again, a tremendous credit to all of the work that has been done in the past year. And again, Dr. Al Jaber, we're delighted that you've come to this session. There are currently more than $1 billion worth of projects in the works in this region, and really Abu Dhabi is leading the way. But let's now talk to some of these key players and see exactly what they are doing and how they're actually doing this. I'd like to introduce you to a lady who heads up Abu Dhabi's Environmental Regulatory Authority. Her main focus is the protection and the conservation of the environment, as well as promoting sustainable development. All of that a task she does with absolute tireless dedication. Biodiversity conservation is at the heart of her mission here in Abu Dhabi. She's also the Managing Director of the Emirates Wildlife Society, as well as the Mohammed bin Zayed Species Conservation Fund. And she also serves on other boards and many networks and organizations, and spearheads the Emirates' drive for conservation and protection of the environment. So please welcome the Secretary General of the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, Her Excellency Razan Al Mubarak. Now, also joining us is a gentleman who began his career with the ADNOC group of companies, but soon moved over to an internal audit position and soon to head up finance with Abu Dhabi's commercially driven renewable energy company. He has managed compliance and regulation, and he's also led the corporate enterprise risk management function, which of course is responsible for protecting the company's investments. That, of course, he has done so the company can fulfill its mission to invest, to incubate, and to establish the new energy industry here in Abu Dhabi and around the world. And, of course, he currently oversees the company's daily operations. Please welcome the Chief Operating Officer from Masdar, Mohammed Al-Ramahi. Mohammed Al-Ramahi. And we are absolutely thrilled to have with us here today a gentleman who's made that great journey from the north to come and join us. One of the leading players in the growth and development and implementation of energy, not just in Dubai, but actually in the United Arab Emirates. He has led Dubai Electricity and Water Authority since the early 90s, and he has transformed this water and electricity company into one of the finest commercially minded utility companies in the region, a truly world-class operation. He's a true visionary in the energy space and a passionate advocate of diversification and innovation in the industry. I also hear he can drive a hard business bargain, and he has actually succeeded in securing the finest and possibly the lowest price for energy, not just in this region, but in the world, for the upcoming major renewable power project in Dubai. We're going to hear more of that. Among his many accolades, of course, he's a member of the government of Dubai's Executive Council and Dubai's Economic Council. He's the Vice Chairman of the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy and the Chief Executive of DEWA. A big warm welcome for His Excellency, Saeed Mohammed Al Tayer. And thank you all so much for joining us. Mr. Al Tayer, you really are the rock star of renewables right now. Everybody is talking about this deal. It happened, of course, at a very timely position, of course, right before this wonderful summit and this wonderful conference here. So it's really getting the attention of the world. Tell us just a little bit about this, because it's not just a good deal that you've done. This is ultimately a great deal for the citizens and for the residents of this region.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, I would like to make an announcement, I think.
Good.
Green announcement.
They come day by day in DEWA these days, so please.
So I think we will announce about our strategy. We targeted 2030 about 5%. Now it's the time to raise it to 15%.
Wow.
Renewable. Also, we targeted...
Let me just get that clear. A target of renewables, you were aiming for 5%, which we thought was good. And you actually now know you can make that 15%.
15%. And also, we targeted by 2020, actually, 1%, and we raise it to 7%.
Well done.
And also, in 2016, we will float a tender for 500 megawatt solar, PV solar.
That's just, I tell you, it's just great. It's great news coming out of you. You're on a roll, really, aren't you now? There's the unstoppable. There's no stopping here. That's all you've got to tell us today now?
Well, I think it is the right time to say it, especially
Wonderful.
in this gathering, I think, and we are...
Well, I think I would join everyone in congratulating you and all the work at DEWA. We're all very proud of that achievement, and you've really set the bar higher now. So while you've done all that, just give us a quick rundown and tell us how you've done it.
As you mentioned that also we run the organization on commercial basis, but we are also looking at the generated cost. And definitely, I mean, fuel mix, it's the right solution, first of all. Second is the generated unit cost so far is higher, actually, than the recent price we obtained from Aqua. So this means that my unit cost will be reduced, my efficiency will be higher, and my footprint, CO2, will be reduced too. And this is not for Dubai, this is for UAE.
This is absolutely wonderful achievement. Just tell us a little bit about that new deal for the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the solar park. I mean, you've brought that price down to a price that has surprised everybody.
Yeah.
You've obviously done your homework, you've picked the right supplier. So how can you do this, bring it to such a low price? I mean, everybody is just delighted about this, and I think it's a great move forward in what's going on in renewables.
You know, of course, I mean, we made our study, and we thought that the prices will go down by 2020. It was a surprise for us. But actually, if you look at the prices, the first bidder, it was 5.9 cents per kilowatt. The second, it was 6 cents per kilowatt. So there is no difference. It means that the prices worldwide in reduction. And Actually, I think it's very important to look into other issue. Why is this? Because also the regulation, I think the framework of regulation help us to do that, to attract more investor, to give them the confidence that there is a regulation in case of any dispute. There is a rule and regulation, and that's it. I think if the investor, he will invest in the right and the healthy environment rather than where he can bid in different, atmosphere or different environment. So regulation play an important role also in reducing the prices, I think.
Well done. Now, Razan, this is great news for the Emirate, of course, for the entire United Arab Emirates. And there's tremendous work going on here in Abu Dhabi, and you coordinate all of your efforts with all of the electric company, with the power companies, with everybody here. Bring us up to date with what's happening here.
I think the point that I'd like to make is demand side management. While diversification of our supply is key, Abu Dhabi, as you all know, is looking at a 30% diversification towards low-carbon energy by 2030, and that is an ambitious target and a target that we are working very hard with our stakeholders to meet. But the other side of the coin, really, is demand-side management. It's key. It really, really is key. According to some of the calculations that we've done here, from a carbon dioxide emissions perspective, for example, demand-side management will reduce carbon dioxide emissions by half, with a fraction of the cost of increasing supply. So just to kind of, what I'm alluding to is that there are significant economic and social benefits to demand-side management. It reduces pollution from a carbon dioxide perspective, but also from other air pollutants, and that has a direct impact on people's health. It reduces, at the same time, as mentioned, it will free up capital that can be redirected to social and commercial programs, but, and extremely important, it will also increase the competitiveness of the Emirates.
And again, this is essential. This is, I think all of the companies are taking this on board. Do you think there's enough being done here? And I know DIWA is putting efforts in this to really educate the people, because ultimately these are easy wins, but they take cooperation from each person in the Emirate.
I mean, not only is there a huge role in continuous education, there are trends that indicate that if you just do awareness campaigns that are short-lived, you won't get enough momentum to involve the overall society in a directed policy towards demand-side management. And beyond people is how do we actually engage with the private sector? That's another area, because there are huge economic gains and huge economic opportunities in that sphere. There are other things that may not be as glamorous. One of the schemes that has demonstrated a huge reduction in carbon dioxide emissions in Abu Dhabi is the cooling scheme. I told you it doesn't sound very glamorous, but essentially what it does, it takes all buildings and ensures that there's a proper air conditioning maintenance. And just with the proper air conditioning maintenance, we've noticed that we can actually reduce consumption between 30 to 48%.
Now, let's have a look at what Masdar has been doing, an operation that's been in place here for many, many years now, and not just working here at home, but also expanding abroad and really bringing that renewable message and pulling in all of the best, talent in the world very much. Bring us up to date with some of the new initiatives you've been working on recently.
Well, first, allow me to congratulate the UAE for this great achievement that we just heard from His Excellency Saeed. I think this is a great milestone and undertaking, and this is, I think, a benchmark for all other countries to follow in the region and globally. Secondly, when it comes to Masdar, our main mission is to, number one, strengthen and diversify our local economy. And we do that through a holistic, integrated business units complemented by a research institute. This holistic approach through graduate education, research and development, investment, sustainable development allow us to achieve that strategic objective.
Now, Mr. Al-Tahir, when you look at the energy mix optimization challenge, really, in a way, do you see that as a catalyst for economic development in the region, industrial growth, job creation? There's a lot going on here. Can you just, where do you see that?
Yeah, first of all, I agree with my colleagues that we have to look at it as a holistic view. Demand side management, it's a very important subject and very important issue to discuss. We put a target reduction 30% by 2030. And through green building, through district cooling, also through retrofit of the existing building. We have more than 30,000 building. And in order to attract investment, we created a Al-Ittihad ISCO company because they have to do it in a more professional way. And I think this is very important to not only cater for the growth, but also to reduce the CO2 through reduction of demand. Now, yes, it is very important task. We already started implementing this with the government department, and I think they will utilize Al-Ittihad ISCO because Al-Ittihad ISCO, it is very, they will do it in more professional way. At the end, we look at the reduction from environment point of view and also from saving. I mean that's why the saving is very important to the customer, to the landlord, in order to accept that to rehabilitate his building. So I think the waste it's come from old building, not from new building. New building, we introduce new building code with respect of the insulation, with respect of the equipment, building management system. All new building in Dubai now, they will be constructed in line with the new code.
And Razan, in Abu Dhabi too, and indeed right across the Emirates, all of the government authorities looking at the new building codes to actually decrease emissions and move it forward.
Definitely. I mean, I think the trend that we've all observed, and I think as participants in the energy, water fields, what we've realized is right now we're at a meeting point, where it doesn't just make economic sense, it makes social sense, and it makes environmental sense. And that creates this incredible momentum and the ability to build coalitions between government and private sector and across government. I've been, as you introduced me, I've been working in the conservation field for a while. And typically, the conservation field has been painted, and maybe rightly so, as the no people. No, it cannot happen. No, it should not happen. No, yes, we should have limits. And I think the story has shifted. The story has shifted towards the opportunities. The opportunities, whether economic, whether social, whether environmental, they're all pretty much melting in an unprecedented, at an unprecedented time. It's no longer, what I'm trying to say is that it's no longer seen as a luxury or a nice thing to have. On the contrary, it's very much a necessity across all the three pillars of sustainability. And like I said, as the largest environmental regulator, what I'm hearing today is music to my ears. And it's a learning, it's a learning point in my life, because it's only when we're able to meet economic imperatives with environmental protection can we actually get things going. So I like to personally, again, congratulate DIWA and of course Masdar City with everything that they've done.
And it really is about building those partnerships as well. Mohammed, a lot of the work too you've been doing in Masdar is also about essentially building that capacity here at home in the region and bringing in the expertise and actually putting in the R&D into what the next step is. How important has that been for Masdar over the last few years?
It's actually critical. I mean, when we decided to actually, a bit more than 8 years ago, so we have not been in the business for a long time.
But you've done a lot in that short time.
We're still a very young company.
You've been on the highway since you started.
Indeed, indeed. So the first thing when we decided to build Masdar City, and we thought about what we should focus on, what should be the heart and the soul of that city. Believe me when I say it was clearly the Masdar Institute. The Masdar Institute for Science and Technology. So the first thing that we have developed, the first thing that we have constructed is that institute. To allow the SMEs, to allow companies, technology companies, and to allow Masdar as well as other stakeholders within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and the UAE to tap into that infrastructure, to tap into the brains that we have within that city through the institute. So research and development is critical for us. We have worked with several partners. You know, the institute as an independent research postgraduate university have attracted a lot of international brand names, from Schneider, Siemens, GE. I mean, we launched last year the GE Eco-Imagination in Masdar City. We have also launched the Lockheed Martin Center of Excellence. Siemens is working closely with us. So there is plenty of technology companies, but these are the large brand names, which are extremely important. But I would like to highlight the importance of SMEs, small companies. We provide those small companies an infrastructure in the city, tapping into the institute, into the laboratories, into the students, into the professors, and that's very important to enhance these technologies and these companies.
Now, Mr. Al-Thari, I'd like to continue this conversation with you in terms of the partnerships and the investment in research and development, but also looking broader then at the opportunities for investment when we look at sustainable development in the region in general.
Okay, we actually budgeted about 50 billion for the next 5 years in project, in smart grid. I think in the future you will see the smart grid is play a big role in improving the efficiency of the utility, also improving to manage the demand also. It is the prime foundation towards smart city. So to start with, smart grid means that you have to automate your transmission, you have to automate your distribution, and also interconnect and to do integration between the system till you reach the customer. So the customer at the end, through his mobile, he can manage his demand, he can even that educate his children, he can request if the customer consultant or contractor, the authority for approval, for NOC, for payment transfer. So everything will be on an iPhone or on other devices of telephone using latest technology applications. And this is already done, I mean, in Dubai. I mean, especially we have we just commissioned about 20,000 intelligent metering where a customer can be communicated from the authority without sending a technician to do the switching. I mean, everything will be done online, real time. If a customer wants to change his apartment, no need to, come to the authority or to the offices. Through his mobile, he can transfer his deposit, he can apply for electricity move in, move out. So I think smart grid play very important role in changing the quality of life.
Yes.
And this is very important. So our investment actually will be on the R&D. We already created an R&D 2 months ago, and our concentration in R&D in the smarter grid, renewable, also production of water through, of course, through the solar. This is a new field. Also, efficiency. Efficiency is very important. I mean, not only at the supply side, but also at the demand side.
And this, of course, is the use of new technology, efficiency for the company, efficiency for the individual, and again, it builds in that efficiency for the environment as well, really, doesn't it, Razan?
Of course, I mean, the point that I'd like to maybe build on is, you know, probably all of us live in cities around the world, and this trend of urbanization is on the increase. If you look at the numbers, you know, we're looking at between 85 and 90% of all people around the world are actually living in cities. So you cannot disengage the position and the power of a city to actually make a change. You know, we talked about with His Excellency and my fellow panelists about the importance of energy efficiencies and building codes, and yeah, certainly these are important standards. But at the end, what we all want are safe, livable, sustainable cities that we call home, and we are proud to contribute to their advancement. And what I'd like to see is a more holistic view of what makes a sustainable city. It's beyond just energy and water. It is about health. It's about happiness. It's about the respect of culture and tradition. It's about tolerance. So a number of principles that need to complement the mission to achieving sustainability in energy and water. And I'd like to make an announcement. I've unfortunately missed the presence of Dr. Sultan, but I'd like to make an announcement that this thought leadership of how do we build eco-cities, environmental cities, is something that, of course, we started with Masdar, but we want to continue this dialogue. We want to continue this debate with individuals. And as such, I'd like to announce that in 2015, October of 2015, Abu Dhabi will be hosting the Eco-City Conference. It's the longest running conference on eco-cities in the world, and it's the first time that it's coming to the Middle East. And for us, this resonates very highly because in the region, you have a current population of 350 million, and likely to increase by 2050 to around 600. It's a huge increase. Our cities will have to grow, will have to meet those challenges, and having this type of thought leadership, thinking about how to build cities in arid regions, is something that we really look forward to.
Super. And again, you know, the concept of eco-cities, this is now, I think, something that we're really seeing, as you say, that leadership coming from this region. And people they've bought into it. I think people might have been 5 years ago a little more skeptical about what was going on. But I think without a doubt, it certainly has been embraced here and around the world. The work that you're doing in Masdar too, in terms of looking at how people live in cities, looking at how people can perhaps, you know, grow more efficiently, how we can, you know, get more value from in a way maybe less energy or the need to share more energy. Again, a lot of that work plays into making life better ultimately for the customer and for the companies.
True. I mean, Masdar City, I mean, everybody is aware of Masdar City right now. It's a globally recognized brand. It's the idea, the theory behind Masdar City. It's now being taught across a lot of universities. But what we have learned, I mean, we have learned a lot, you know, from the beginning when we started the blueprint of the city. We looked at the whole development, the urban development of the city, from transportation to energy to water to waste to smart grids, obviously, and how do we create a cluster as well? So it's not only the energy side or the water side, but also creating a cluster that is built on technology, innovation, industry. And most importantly, it is easy, obviously, to look at certain technology and implement these technologies if you have, let's say, deep pockets. Okay, but the reality is implementing technology has to come with a commercial proposition. It needs to be sustainable. So sustainability for us means financial returns as well. So it's not only the sustainability of water, the sustainability of the energy, but also the sustainability of the financial position of the entity itself. And that's very important.
In fact, we're getting a few questions in from many of you in the audience, and that is one of the questions that are coming in. And also, just looking at the growth of cities, looking at the growth of this region particularly. And this is quite novel when you look back on, an emirate that's 43 years. A lot of the growth they had in Europe and other countries took a lot longer. They had slower time to respond. The pressure here on the resources, do you think that we're ready for it? Can you handle it, Mr. Al-Taher, in terms of the growth in population, the growth in development, the big push forward? You're obviously putting plans in place to be able to handle that growth.
Yes, I think, we have a good planning, master plan. That's what we consider sometime cushion for delay of the project, but and we expect a growth of 5 to 6% in power in the next 5 years. We can cater for this growth. That's why we have a fuel mix strategy. Security of supply, it's an important issue. And I think from generation point of view and from also the desalination plant, whether or network, we have the time. We are concerned always about the reliability. If we can deliver a reliable power and water, this is very important for the investor and for the people here in the region, because as you know, the weather is, the summer is very hot and the humidity is very high. People cannot afford for long outage. So therefore, we always have a plan. We have a plan even now. I mentioned smart grid, how the smart grid will improve the restoration. And we see it that this will improve the reliability. As you know, UAE, represented by Dubai, we are ranked number 4 worldwide, according to the World Bank. And our intention actually to be number 1 in the future.
And looking at that delivery, we have a gentleman here in the audience. I'd like to just put him on the spot now, since he's got the good deal that Mr. Al-Taher did. And we have with us the Chief Executive of Aqua Power, Paddy Padmanathan. So Paddy, Mr. Al-Taher is talking about being able to deliver for all of the big projects that are in place. So you have the deal. We're going to be looking at, what, 200 megawatts. Will it be delivered on time, on budget, and will it be as wonderful as we're all talking about?
Thank you very much. I can't possibly say no to that, right? But,
you can't.
Yes, not today. But,
this is the place of announcements. We're putting on record here this morning, so tough.
But look, I think just to be very clear about it, we as a company have, I don't need to sort of set out our track record, but we have consistently delivered. So this is not the first project we're doing. We have 18,000 megawatts that we have delivered. So this is not the issue for us. We're very, very confident. We understand, having built up the tariff, where the savings are coming from, how we were able to get to this number. So it wasn't, we didn't get to this number by cutting corners in unachievable places. Very achievable. We have, I mean, the tariff is a reflection of many things, not just one thing, but many things. But some of the most significant things is exactly like what His Excellency pointed out. It's about great confidence on by the banking community and ourselves as investors on the reliability within that regulatory framework that is there in that Dubai. DEWA has an excellent track record as a credit-worthy off-taker. okay, I'd like to think that we have a track record as a deliverer. The financing community recognized that. So we were able to get 27-year money at less than 4%. Now that's the testament to the confidence. We were able to convince the bankers to lend 86% of the project cost and only request us to put 14% of the more expensive equity. Dubai has an excellent construction platform. These are all very supportive, very helpful. So the answer to your question, yes, we're very confident we can get it done. We look forward to working with you to get it done.
Super, Paddy. We'll be keeping an eye on it and we'll be bringing you up to date. Razan, again, we look at what just Paddy was talking about there, the credibility record in this region, you know, the confidence that the banks have, and that, you know, all of that plays into actually putting investment here and really building that capacity, because the country is on a growth trajectory and it's not going to stop.
Right.
So again, how do you manage all that? And then how do you also cooperate with the other Emirates in terms of making sure there's an energy policy that can keep everybody happy?
Correct. I mean, to be honest, the speed of development here is a challenge. It's a challenge to get the right infrastructure at the right time. And the gap, I mean, there are always gaps. Of course, we've got a great track record and we continue to improve that, but there are gaps. And what I want to say is those gaps do affect the environment. When you do not have the desalination plants, you're going to have to use groundwater, and our groundwater reserves, as you all know, are dwindling. If you don't have the sewage infrastructure, then you will have pollutants and discharge into the atmosphere and into the water and our deserts. So for us, the planning is extremely important. From an Abu Dhabi perspective, we've done We've done a plan with the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision, and we've established the Environment Vision 2030. And the idea is, how can the environment complement and enable the economic imperatives of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi? From a governance perspective, that's extremely important. So we do have at the government level a governance committee that looks at this balance between economic advances, infrastructure requirements, as well as environmental protection. But with all these great words, to be honest, what we really need and we want to continue to build are these coalitions between the economic sectors and the environment sectors. And we need to ensure that we always light a Bunsen burner to ensure that the will is there to ensure the benefits of the economic advancement does not have a detrimental cost on the environment.
And when you're talking about the will, are you talking about political will, collective will, community will? You know, where's that going to come from? Or is it has to come right across the board?
I mean, the short answer is right across the board. We've been blessed in the UAE to have the leadership and the political will very much clear and very much advancing these two agendas. What we need now from an institutional perspective is to catch up and to ensure that the governance and regulatory framework are ready to enable all sectors of the community and all sectors of the society to partner in achieving this vision and to be part of it and to believe in it. If cities are going to be the solution, then it's people that gives the heartbeat and the pulse of a city.
Mr. Al-Tahir, when you look around the region here, and some people might, a question that's come in here, think that there's probably very healthy competition between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. How do you see that? And when you look at the international market and look at the great work that's been going on here, because ultimately every step that you take is improving the quality of life here in the Emirate, and your colleagues in Abu Dhabi, I'm sure, are doing the same, or probably now trying to keep up with you. But ultimately, you're all going in the one direction. How important is that?
I think we complement each other, and I think the leadership here in UAE committed toward renewable, and we are sharing the same objective, same strategy, and we are aligned together, and it is for the better of the society actually, delivering reliable supply, power and water, and reduction footprint. This is in line with our leader, صاحب السمو His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, where his vision to be ranked #1 worldwide in the terms of the best country. And also this is in line with the directive of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for green economy, for sustainable development. And I think we are aligned and we complement each other.
And again, when you think of this region too, do you believe that when you go back even to the vision of Sheikh Zayed, and that preserving the environment, preserving the economy, building this for the people, was actually quite so visionary at that time, whereby it's almost the private sector and the people that have had to drive government and leaders in the rest of the world?
I think we are lucky in UAE. We have this government driving renewable, driving green economy, not only in the power and the water sector, but also for the product import, export, I mean, all type of relating the quality of life, to improve the quality of life, to be the happiest people in the world. I mean, this is an indicator which UAE became #1 actually, and still they are #1. We are, I think, lucky to have this government.
I see you giving support to that, Razan.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I mean, one of the leadership traits that I've been lucky to observe in our current leadership, and actually when I really think about it, it's a trait that all true, authentic leaders have. And that's the mantra of we don't inherit from our ancestors. We don't inherit what we have from our ancestors. We simply borrow it from our future generation. And this intergeneration view on resources, on development, is what makes authentic leaders, and it is what makes us in the UAE particularly lucky.
Indeed, yes. Mohammed, sorry, you wanted to come in there.
I just wanted to comment on this potential note of Abu Dhabi, Dubai competing. In my opening note, I was clear. I congratulated the UAE for this achievement. And I think this is an achievement for the United Arab Emirates. What we achieve in Abu Dhabi, it is a win for the UAE. And what Dubai achieves is a win for the UAE. We all work in the same environment. We all work for the same objective. And this is very important. I mean, His Excellency today, he launched his announcement from Abu Dhabi. Okay, and this is very, very critical. We work together, and our challenges for the future are the same. This is what I would like to highlight.
We don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to stay with you, Mohammed, while we're doing here, and we're looking more, if I have you thinking now, more wrap-up thoughts to leave our audience with for this session. Looking ahead, Mohammed, what Masdar's role in the 2030 plan will be. I mean, you've got a strong, the strength is there, the will is there, you've actually made this work. What's the next step for you?
Well, I mean, the strategic plan the economic plan for the 2030 plan for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi was, established, and it's also a document that gets updated annually. Now, for Masdar, how Masdar is contributing to that plan? That's if you're asking that. I mean, we are a main contributor to the publicly announced 7% renewable energy target by 2020 for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. So we play an active role in facilitating the development and deployment of these technologies to achieve that target. But we also contribute to the knowledge economy, which is very essential part of the 2030 plan, through education, through research, through innovation, and obviously the sustainable urban development at Masdar City. So through that value chain, we contribute into the Abu Dhabi 2030 plan.
Razan, when you look at your job at the moment, has it got easier or more difficult, and what do you anticipate, in the years to come?
I don't know how possibly I can answer this question.
No,
certainly,
yeah, no,
but certainly there are challenges, as we talked about, and environmental challenges related to population, economic growth, and so forth. But at the same time, when we talked about, because the leadership vision is clear, the plans are there, the opportunities for improvement and enhancement. What's interesting here, when you look at environment, nobody says protect and full stop. It's protect and enhance. And that's something that is extremely gratifying in the job that we do at the Environment Agency.
Super. Mr. Al-Tahir, I'm going to leave you the last word. You've given us tremendous hope here, and you've really put some new targets in place. So all your people in DEWA know they're going to be working twice as hard for the next few years. But again, well done. You have set new targets, and we've seen from the past you're able to, to reach them. These are not going to be unreasonable by any means. So, tremendous congratulations, and you will, of course, have the support for the whole country. But when you look ahead to the 2030 vision, to the 2030 plan, where do you see the role of DEWA, and how do you see the country evolving and that sustainability playing out for everybody's benefit?
I mean, I will first say a reduction of 30%. It is our target, and we are working toward that, and whether it is in demand management and efficiency. I think it's also a security of supply. It's play a big role in the future, and fuel mix. So we have very clear roadmap. We will have an action plan put in place, and I think we can deliver.
We know you can deliver. We're absolutely depending on you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of my panel here, and a great, refreshing way to start off our day here. We have lots to look forward to, and definitely our future is in the right hands. So thank you all so much.